Welcome back to Phoenix Magic Adventures. I'm going to be doing about a 15-minute reading with these cards here. So stick around and we're going to use these 4 decks. You can find their names in the description box. Doing this backwards. Okay. So this is the fear that you need to overcome to move forward with him. So there's a person that you want to move forward with. Some of you are holding your breath, so make sure you're breathing. Let your tummy out. Don't hold your stomach in. What fear do you need to overcome to move forward? All right, so here's the fear that you need to overcome to move forward. The fear of not being heard. I feel like in your past relationships, you have like tried to explain yourself. You may even be somebody who is like neurodivergent and life is just a little bit different for you. So I feel like this is something that you need to work on some affirmations for to find that place where you believe that people do want to hear what you have to say. I realized we had another deck that we're going to use to help you shift this energy. So I feel like the fear of not being heard is something that's almost like preventing you because what's happening is you're not talking. You're not saying how you really feel. You're not saying what you really want. So that fear of not being heard is actually causing you just to not talk about what you want. So this is the oracles of energy shifting, and it kind of gives us different things that we can do physically to shift energy. So let's see what you should add into your like self-care routine. These are a little bit harder to get one to pop out because there's so few of them. So it says rest, give yourself permission to sit still and breathe, watch a fun movie and don't do anything else. So I feel like what's happening is some of the things that you want to talk about or that you feel are really important, when you're not saying them, it's because you're not giving yourself a chance to like calm down and say exactly how you feel and exactly what you want. So I feel that one of the ways to shift this fear is definitely for you specifically to watch a fun movie and don't do anything else. Because I feel like what's happening is you're texting and you're sending messages about things that aren't the like actual focus, and it's causing you to get more stressed. So don't send any more texts, just sit there and breathe and allow this person to come to you. I do feel like this person really does care about you. They do want you to have a good connection with them. They just, I feel are a little bit overwhelmed because they can feel that you're holding back what you really want to say. And in some cases, you're saying things that are a little bit hurtful just because you're not saying the whole story and allowing them to kind of fix things and help things move forward. For the next part of the reading, we're going to be using the Oracles of Sextext. These are the 3 questions that we are going to be answering. But before we start that, I want to pull out a positive sex affirmation. This will be something that is one of the things you need to keep in mind while we're looking at these messages. So, oh, did you see that one pop right out? Okay. I know my sexual boundaries and I honor them. So there may be things that you're like, this is how I want to, be in my sexual connection with this person. And it's okay for you. This goes back to your fear of, not being heard. It's okay for you to say exactly what you need. All right. So it's interesting. I do feel like there's some fear that you're kind of coming into. I feel like for some of you, you are getting out of relationships that weren't as positive or like healthy for you in the past, and you're worried about that coming forward in the future. So don't be worried about this when they send this message. Oops, that was way too many. You guys must text a lot. Okay, so, oh wow, look at this. They want you to say something. Says, talk about that dirty thing they told you they like. And call me, talk dirty. This person has naughty things to say. I feel like you are not talking even about sexual things because you're just nervous. And it says to not be worried about these things. I feel like you can talk about anything that is within your sexual boundaries. And going into these conversations and talking to the person, it really is going to be about you saying what you want and knowing that it's okay to have those boundaries. It's healthy to have those boundaries. You don't want a boundaryless relationship. That's really unhealthy. So then it says they are playing about this. So this is what I feel like they're kind of like teasing you with, kiss me, deep kisses. This person wants to make out with you. So I feel like this person's been super flirty with you. I feel like the two of you are just kind of like trying things out, seeing how things will work between the two of you. So they are kind of like teasing because I feel like this person is nervous too. You know what? I'm going to pull a, what are they afraid of? I'm going to keep you here. Well, actually, you know what? We'll put this in here because they might be afraid of the same thing. Let's see what they are afraid of. They are afraid of not being enough. So when you're not talking and not giving feedback, they don't know if they're doing the right thing, if they're, and so that's, you guys are kind of like mirroring each other and giving each other a message of, I don't know if I want to talk about this. I'm kind of shy. Like that's what your vibe is towards each other. And we'll get into your like romantic energy in just a minute. So we'll see what that part is. But let's go ahead and pull this last one here. You might hear this. What is this person? Ooh. Be submissive. Obey you. This person wants to submit to desires. Excuse me. This person wants you to submit to desires. And I feel like that's a little bit where this like sexual boundaries are coming in. I feel like it's especially if you guys are starting out in like BDSM or trying something where it's like, oh, I want this person to be in control. It's okay to have somebody be in control with your boundaries. So, what that would mean is like, I've always heard that the submissive is in control and the dominant is in charge. So, the submissive is in control of like what they give, what the boundaries are, and that's where I feel like this is coming in with your sexual boundaries. I feel like this person likes to be in charge, and I feel like you kind of like that. That's a vibe that you are like, "Ooh, I'm into this. I want this." But I feel that in some ways you're kind of scared about being like, "Oh, when I'm submissive, I have to say everything and do everything the way they want me," which is not the case. You can say, these are the boundaries, these are the hard limits, these are the soft limits. There are a lot of different ways to communicate these things. So you might hear that they want you to be submissive. So now we're going to go to the next card here. Okay, it says, I'm going to show it up here. Don't be weird about this. So there is something they're gonna say. There's some anticipation. Let your shoulders relax. I know you're a little bit like nervous about this, but I feel like things are going pretty well. All right. Don't be weird about this. All right, consent. So this deck has some that are like messages, and then these white cards are ones like, consent or silent. This person is in, so it gives like times when um like the person's not having a conversation. Don't be weird about giving your consent. As far as what I mean by that is, see it as, it's not awkward for me to say what I don't want. It's okay for me to say what I do want. It's okay for me to say how I want what I want. So, this person I feel has closed off their energy when it comes to consent because you're not talking about what you want. We've already kind of had that conversation a little bit. So, I feel like this person is kind of like closed off their sexual energy a little bit because they're not sure what you do and don't want to do. And I feel like this is a really good person. I feel like this person honors those sexual boundaries. And so when there are no boundaries there, it really bothers a person who isn't a healthy mindset. So, what I mean by that is when you have a person who is a healthy boundary person, and you're talking about sexual things or you're kind of like moving towards that part and then you're not communicating what you want, this person who is a healthy person is going to be like, well, I need to back up from this a little bit because I know what I want and I want to make sure that's what they want too. I feel like this person's really a good, like, healthy person when it comes to sexuality, which is pretty awesome. So they aren't playing about this. You know what? I'm going to put this card here. They aren't playing about this. Let's see what that is. They're not playing about. Like kind of closing down energy. I feel like you guys have not had this kind of conversation. What is something that they're not playing about? There we go. Huh. This person is angry. Really interesting vibe. They aren't playing about the fact that they have decided that if you're not going to like really communicate, they don't have anything to talk about. But I feel like you've kind of interpreted this energy as I can't speak up because they're not going to hear me because they get angry, they get mad. I feel like this person is that like frustrated angry where you're just kind of like, I can't deal with this, I can't do this. So I feel like this person has tried to have conversations about sexuality and the relationship, and yet your fear of not really being heard has actually caused this vibe, this energy of like not wanting to talk, not wanting to be a part of the connection. So let's see. It says you might hear this. Let's see what you might hear. I feel like you might hear this if there is a shift in energy where you're like, because I think for some of you, and I feel for some of you, that you don't know what your sexual boundaries are. You may either be like inexperienced or, something along those lines. But I feel that you need to look at what are my sexual boundaries? What do I want when it comes to a sexual connection? So you might hear this. All right, I want to come on you. Get messy. Your person wants to have messy sex. I feel like once you guys open up with your conversation and your, because I know you're like, but if I'm blocked and we're not talking about this, how can it get to this point? I feel that this person is going to come back for a conversation. And I feel like when they come back for that conversation, if you know your sexual boundaries, and if your sexual boundary is, I don't want to have sex until I know that we are in a romantic connection, which we'll talk about the romantic energy next. But I feel that eventually this person is going to come back into your life. And when they do come back in your life, you're going to know your sexual boundaries. And that's going to lead to the sexual chemistry being able to flow and not be like blocked or closed off because you're in alignment with each other and what you both want. Okay, so we're just going to put these here. All right, so then we're going to go to what is the romantic energy of your love life. So I'm going to pull two cards. I'm going to pull the first card, and that's going to represent you and where you are with the love life. And then the second card is going to represent them. Now, keep in mind with the oracles of romantic energy, if there's two silhouettes that match, I'm reading for a soulmate connection. So, what is the romantic energy of your love life for you? It is showing as holding hands. So, I really feel like that's a little bit of where the disconnect is too. Because, like, if this person's at this vibe of like, let's have messy sex, and you're like at the vibe of holding hands, there's like a disconnect with where the two of you want to be. And I feel like for you, it's this energy or this vibe of if they don't want to do this and they only want to do this, then they don't really love me. So you're kind of vibrating at like, let's hold hands and go on a walk. And this person's like, I want you to submit to me and I want to get messy. And I feel like that's kind of where a little bit of this disconnect is happening for the two of you. So let's see where they are romantically. Because I think and feel that that is part of what is like stopping you. Yeah, you're just kind of lost as to like, or they are feeling kind of lost, excuse me. They're kind of lost as to like, what do you want? And that's coming back from not communicating and not talking about what you want. I do feel that this person is going to miss the connection with you. I feel like this person is going to come back to you. And when they do come back, if you're wanting a connection with them, being in the energy and the vibration of knowing this is the person I want to be with, and these are the boundaries that I have. I feel like this is like the really like main theme is communicate and know your boundaries. I feel like what's happening for you is you don't really know what your boundaries are. So how am I going to communicate what I don't know? So let's put this in a little bit of a word picture. Let's say you go out to dinner to a French restaurant and the menu's all in French. You're not going to know what your favorite thing is. And until you kind of like try some of the things and until you experience some of the experiences, you're not going to be able to like look at the menu and say, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. Now, there are probably some things that we know you like. We know that you like holding hands. We know that you may even like kissing. I know that came up a little bit in here. So I feel that once you're able to really communicate what you want, this person's going to be able, my cat just jumped in the blinds. This person's going to be able to communicate to you if they can bring you the experience that you want. So let's go ahead and I'm going to pull some cards. We have the Oracles of Characteristics and the Oracles of Characteristics, the live version. I mixed these two together. I'm going to go ahead and get a reading or get a couple cards that show us some characteristics of the person who this reading was about so you can verify and see if it matches up with who you were thinking about. So we're going to pull four of them. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to go like this. Sweet cat. One, they live in the city. They are a traveler. They may even travel when they come to see you. Capricorn energy. Capricorn energy is about being responsible and authoritative, which really this may not be their sun sign as well. Remember that they may have this in their Venus sign because we are doing a sex and relationship reading and their initials may be Q, E, or T. So thank you so much for trusting me to read for you. You can find the links to all the decks I've used in the comments, and I hope you have a wonderful relationship.